All right. Let's hear from Andy Burnham. There's also an interview. We're going to talk about the drama in Wisconsin because the Wisconsin Democratic Party is scrambling right now. But let's do a brief Andy Burnham.
Burnham probably has like a set of values, a set of principles about trying to make the country fairer, trying to bring people out of poverty that he really does believe in.
We now come to Andy Burnham, member for Makerfield.
But I think if he had like an incredibly clear idea of what he wanted to do with the country, like what is it that ails the country and how am I going to fix it with my agenda? I think if he had that, we would know about it now. Like we wouldn't be guessing about it and talking about it. Like it would just be clear as day. And I don't think it is. The biggest problem he faces is that a whole range of people across the Labour movement and in the country have projected onto Andy Burnham their hopes and their fantasies about how the country should be run and what Labour should stand for and what Andy Burnham stands for.
You know, he's not scared of locking horns with people. And, you know, everybody thinks Andy's this nice, cheeky, chappy guy. But trust me, when he wants something, well, we've seen it. I mean, he's always wanted to be PM, haven't we? When he wants something, he tends to get it.
Thank you very much, everybody.
We'll see.
In the last few hours.
We'll see his performance. Who's Andy Burnham, the next UK Prime Minister?
The UK's Labour Party has announced a new leader. Former Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, who is already setting the tone for what his leadership will look like. Have a listen.
We are united, and we put the power.
Yeah. Burnham spoke for 20 minutes as Labour's new leader. Gaza got 0 words. Palestine got 0 words. Silence so total. On the day you take power is a decision, says Claudia Webb. Ben Mack, why the hell would he mention either of those things? The sooner they're forgotten and the country gets back to focusing on its own problems, the better. Yeah, no, definitely. British foreign policy famously has nothing to do with the current domestic issues that Britain, but the England is facing. Yeah. Like the censorship bills, the repercussions that people are facing for even protesting against the government in any way, shape, or form, all that stuff is irrelevant. ID laws, all that stuff is irrelevant. But even outside of that, why is there an imminent energy crisis in England, for example? Perhaps it has something to do with the lack of interest demonstrated by the, Labour leader, former Labour leader, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in addressing America's actions that have negative consequences all around the world and certainly in the UK. These people would rather live in their delusional fantasies to assume that all of these countries exist on their own and not in this delicate and fragile ecosystem where things that are happening in the Strait of Hormuz have tremendous impact in their day-to-day lives. Okay? They don't understand it, or rather they refuse to recognize it. They refuse to understand it. It's very stupid.
That comes from that unity at the service of people and places who have been waiting too long for politics to let them hope again. And that's what we're going to do, everybody. We're going to give them hope back.
Well, he is succeeding Sir Keir Starmer, who announced his resignation as Prime Minister last month. But Burnham won't officially be taking the mantle of PM until Monday. In recent years, he has become one of the country's most popular politicians. CNN's Claire Sebastian has more.
Better not put that one on the camera.
Britain's incoming Prime Minister belongs to a new generation of politicians, one that understands the power of social media.
Evening, everyone.
From campaign trail highlights to football skills to a viral roasting of the British opposition leader who called him
a pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt.
It's dark blue, actually.
That video racked up over 5 million views on X. The strategy, especially with these signature selfie-style videos, is really part of an effort by Burnham to...
I will say this. I do appreciate seeing like British news media also take this like totally hollowed out liberal approach to politicians. Like, not a lot to say about policies, not a lot to say about the direction of the party, and a whole lot to say about social media. Like Zoran Mamdani, you know, as though Zoran Mamdani's success is because of his social media capabilities.
Present himself as an outsider here in Westminster, a regular guy, despite, of course, his many years spent in Parliament previously. His style is true to Andy, and that isn't going to change. A source close to his campaign told me he's not trying to land a point with every post.
He feels comfortable, he feels relaxed, and to be honest with you, it reminds me of that famous phrase that Margaret Thatcher had about Ronald Reagan.
What the hell is this?
He's engaged in the great cause of cheering us all up.
We're doing it to change Labour, to make
And
it
yet,
No, this isn't real. Israel got a win by forfeit against Lithuania, even though they played the match and Lithuania swept them. They got the win because they filed a complaint with FIFA about one of the players playing for Lithuania wearing a Palestinian flag antenna during the match. What? What is this? Please read the names. Aspect dead. Oh, this isn't fucking FIFA, dude. It's just like... in Rocket League, you can wear flag antennas in context. Oh my God, you guys... I just... so fucking stupid. I was like, what is the... How can a player... I was thinking, like, how can a player wear an antenna? Like, how does that make sense?
optimism and hope don't always get the clicks.
FIFA runs a Rocket League tournament. Okay, it's Rocket League. I mean, it's Israel, but who cares? It's fucking Rocket League.
He has got a harder job in terms of, you know, his content compared to someone like Trump or like Farage.
If you come to the UK illegally, you will be detained and deported.
We know that social media algorithms prioritize or amplify emotionally charged, polemic, kind of controversial content in any way. But I would look to someone like Mamdani, for example, who has managed to navigate that.
I'm freezing. You're red.
New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani is emerging as a template for progressive politicians on social media. And the parallels with Burnham aren't hard to find. Using social to amplify grassroots campaigning, light-hearted ways to discuss major policies.
Start spreading.
Even singing.
I left the north again. I traveled south again.
I like when people take risks and try things out.
Oh, shit, look who it is. That's our boy, Andrew Epstein.
And aren't afraid of cringe.
But, says Mamdani's former communications director, Burnham's desire to unify may have come at the expense of clarity.
The agenda and the message is a bit more muddled than Zoran's was. And the risk that Burnham runs in being, sort of being all things to all people or not being totally clear on where he falls on particular issues or ideological debates, I think can risk reading to people as just being another politician.
And that's exactly what Burnham is trying to avoid.
I am going to do things differently.
He's used social media to make himself accessible to regular people.
Dog, if this is just about social media, England is cooked. I mean, you guys are cooked anyway. If you're in the UK, you already know this. You don't need to hear it from me. We're cooked too, but you guys are cooked in a way faster timeline than us. But oh my God, the only redeemable aspect of this guy is that he likes to wear black t-shirts and does social media. That's it? Really? Can I hear one policy, please? Can we get one policy, please? Thank you. Please. He's not a TikTok influencer. He's the prime minister. Hello? Who cares? Who cares about how good he is on social media?
Facing criticism on the way for neglecting traditional media, something he denies. No questions allowed from journalists at this recent big policy speech. Instead, a few days later,
Send your questions in.
he took to Reddit.
And for the record, people are saying he calls himself socialist, apparently. Who cares? So did Keir Starmer.
A public Ask Me Anything session that was so popular, the site crashed midway through, the source told CNN.
Oh my God, it's more about the social media. Jesus Christ.
The challenge now to strike a balance between running on TikTok and running a country. Sebastian, CNN.
Trump is good on social media too? Yes. But you know what else Trump was good at? Identifying grievances that dumb fucks had and then hammering it on. He wasn't just good on social media. He was good at delivering an easy to understand message. He defined his own platform. He identified what people were angry. He identified first and foremost the anger that people had, the anger towards the establishment, the anger towards business as usual politics. That's very important. Then he identified exactly what policies he was going to implement, and he communicated them with the easiest to understand messages. Build the wall. Lock her up, drain the swamp. What you hear from Donald Trump in those repeated messages is actually real policies. Okay? Those are real policies. Drain the swamp is the Trumpian version of saying there's a lot of corruption that we've identified in Washington, D.C., and we're going to put an end to it. Lock her up is an extension of that. American policies have actually led to a lot of criminal behavior from our political opposition. We are going to implement law and order. Build the wall is American border security is compromised. America's allowed far too many illegal immigrants into the country. They're actually harming your lives, and we're going to put an end to that. Those are all definable policies. I don't agree with them. I think, well, the corruption one I do agree with, and maybe even lock her up. But I know that Donald Trump was never going to actually follow through on that. But if we're looking at simply messaging, fucking messaging, yeah, he messaged very well. He had easily identifiable policies that he defined himself with. Zoran did that too. Zach's take on Andy. Zach Polanski. All right, let's take a look.
Said that Andy Burnham is too in hoc to vested interest to offer real change. You haven't given him a chance, have you? He hasn't even started.
Well, I don't want to be churlish, and it might be that he does do the right things, in which case I'll be the first to applaud him. But let's look at the ominous mood music we've seen already. He's appointed James Purnell as his chief of staff. This is a man who was literally a corporate lobbyist for private water companies. When we have water companies pumping sewage into our rivers and charging us extra for the privilege, this doesn't seem like a good start. Then we know that Josh Simons was the person who stepped aside for him in Makerfield. This is a man who hired a private investigator to look into a journalist who was talking about undeclared donations into Labour Together, a project which still seems to be at the heart of Andy Burnham. And then finally, we can look at the only substantial thing he's voted on as an MP in the last week. He supported Shabana Mahmood's regressive immigration reforms, including asking...
Yeah, that was terrible. Like, keeping Shabana Mahmood in the Home Secretary position is perhaps one of the clearest indications that Andy Burnham is going to be business as usual and continue some of the worst aspects of labor policy.
Asylum seekers to review their cases every 30 months. That's deeply inhumane and deeply
She's going to be chancellor?
People who might be fleeing war and persecution and have a...
Wonder why you care? Oh my God. Oh my God. That is... Why don't you like her? Why don't I like Shabana Mahmood? I don't know. Maybe because she fucking banned me from entering the country. That's one reason. I mean, there's a bunch more, obviously. She literally directly banned me from the country. That's number one, which is silly in comparison to her her anti-migrant policies, and silly in comparison, but in line with that banning, was also her unbelievable censorious regime over people who are protesting for a free Palestine. Things like that are very consequential. They're gutting. They are gutting what remains of free expression in the country, okay?
Legitimate reason to be in this country. So, as I say, he might surprise me and he might move in a more progressive direction. And I'll
like Andy Burnham saw all of that and was like, that's my goat. You're at Chancellor time.
Really welcome that. For everything we've seen so far, including the rumoured appointment of Shabana Mahmood as Chancellor, a politician who cites Margaret Thatcher as one of her political heroes, this doesn't sound like we're moving in a direction to end rip-off Britain. It looks like the more of the same status quo, and indeed in hoc to vested interest.
And
dude, oh my God, a Labour person like fondly recollecting on Margaret Thatcher's legacy is insane.
Andy Burnham, again, as I say, comes along and says, I'm going to put a wealth tax, 1% tax on assets of £10 million or more, or a 2%.
Would you defend the accusation that you are easily triggered? I mean, sure. Yeah, I'm not defending it. Yes, I'm easily triggered. I'm owned.
And tax on £1 billion or more. I'll applaud that. And
people that just go, oh, you're easily triggered, never understand what I'm angry about. If you understood the severity of the crisis, you'd be angry all the time too. Half the time I'm angry for shit that doesn't even impact me personally. Half the time I'm angry about things that are impacting you. And I'm more angry, it seems, than you are about things that are hurting you and your life and ruining your life.
Want to work with that. If he puts in rent controls, by the way, if we frozen rents in 2022, we'd be saving the average UK renter now £2,400 every single year, and we'd be saving the government £2 billion a year. And if you look at the profit margin of your average UK landlord, they'd still be making 4.5 times as much as the average UK business. So rent controls is a win-win all round. It's these kind of policies that are transformative, are big, bold plans, but we can't keep tinkering at the edges. We need a government that are going to do these things. If they're prepared to do these things, I'll work with them. But every signal we're seeing so far is actually they're going to be doing the opposite and more of a failed status quo. But if Andy Burnham, again, as I said...
Yeah.
London.
All right, so social media.
Andy Burnham.
What else? Let's hear policies, please.
Economy. Wes Ball was an advisor to Gordon Brown when Brown served as Prime Minister. He joins us now from London. So, Andy Burnham, no surprise, elected by the Labour Party as leader and therefore will become Prime Minister on Monday. He's going to do things differently, he says, promising policy, not politics. For example, promising good growth in every British postcode. He's, talking about levelling up. But Wes...
Okay, how? What are the policies? What are the immediate ways that he is going to experience good growth, generate good growth in every postcode? How's he doing that?
There is no decent growth anywhere in the UK at this point. So how is he going to fix that?
Good afternoon, Becky. I think that's his...
Oh, wait, what? American troops injured per ZBS, Zionist Broadcasting Service. Several U.S. service members injured in the Iranian attacks on the Jordanian bases this week. We don't know what that means. We don't know the severity of the casualties, the severity of their wounds. But I suspect that we will get more information soon. Yeah, like this is coming out now, which means it happened, this past week. Which means we don't have any information on like last night's attacks, for example. Okay? But if ZBS is reporting it, they're trying to get ahead of it most likely.
Great challenge is that he wants to do politics differently. He says, and truly and very authentically, he believes that power has been centralised in Westminster and taken away from people, and he wants to push that away. And he thinks that economic power has been privatised, and he wants to bring public control of the key economic levers back into government and into the hands of the people. But how that drives growth is his big challenge, because part of the reason people feel so disenchanted in the UK, and this has been going on for a long time, is because real wages are so low at the moment and have not been rising for many, many years.
He's promised transformative change, whilst also pledging to stick to the current likely...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. If you're on the one hand saying that you're the change candidate, which obviously it's a necessity. Change is a necessity in the UK. Things are not going well at all. But then you keep the same people in charge. You elevate Shabana Mahmood, for example. Then what kind of change are you truly offering? How will things change? Is it just social media? You just have more Riz than Keir Starmer, which isn't really saying much. Keir Starmer is an unbelievably uncharismatic person. Why the fuck is everybody talking around the issue?
To change Chancellor Rachel Reeves' fiscal rules. I just wonder, can he realistically do both?
Well, I think we will see a very different government. People have speculated that he's all things to all people. I think actually that's not true. Andy has, he's been a politician since 2001. He had 3 cabinet posts in the last Labour government. He spent 10 years out of Westminster as Mayor of Manchester.
Keir Starmer considering a bid to run for Senate in Maine. That's crazy.
I think he's truly found his authentic self. So the Andy Burnham that you saw speaking today, very passionately committed to handing power back to people and away from Westminster and away from sort of the central state, is truly him. Whether that will bring about the change he wants to bring about quickly is a real question. I think, Andy Burnham is very clear that this is the last chance for Labour, and it's the last chance for kind of the mainstream parties, because he is very clear in his own mind that if it's not him and if his government doesn't succeed, then Nigel Farage and Reform will be the next government, and that for him is is not just the swing of the pendulum. It's a complete transformation in the UK.
Wes, is his team going to look more like the team that was around Tony Blair 1997 through the period of time when you were on Gordon Brown's team, or is this going to look more like a sort of very left-wing social democratic sort of more Mamdani than Blair, as it were?
Look, your piece a moment ago talked about Andy as a very effective communicator and a social media politician.
Are they trolling? Are they fucking trolling? Chat. British chatters, is this a joke? Is this like a funny joke that they're playing where the entire country's in on it, where they're just like, we are going to literally communicate zero. We're going to see if we can get the Americans to lose their fucking minds. The Amerifats dumb enough to even care about what the fuck's going on in the UK are going to tune into the broadcast. And then the only thing that they are going to hear is about how this fucking guy from the fucking former mayor of Manchester is great on social media. Oh my God. Oh my God. Come on. He does social media. He's literally Mamdani. He's just like Mamdani, who is known for social media. Dude, no, that's not even a joke. You said this guy says Count Binface had more defined policies. It's true. See, I remember like fixing the fucking what was it? The hand sanitizer position in the bathroom at Oxbridge or whatever the fuck. I can't recall it right now because it's British shit. I don't know, but one affordable house, build one affordable house, toilet in the pub. Ex-Labour MP Ben Bradshaw, who was a minister in Tony Blair's government and an unrepentant supporter of the Iraq War, who served on the racist Islamophobic Henry Jackson Society and was an enthusiastic backer of Keir Starmer, says Andy Burnham will do a very effective job as Prime Minister. Oh my God.
You obviously served in the cabinet back in the day with Andy Burnham. What was he like?
He was a very effective minister, a very rounded politician, very personable, very good communicator. He's the sort of politician that the public, unlike most politicians, say they'd be happy to go and have a pint in the pub with. And I think he'll be very...
Dude, this is your version, British Shadows, this is your version of burger, okay? For Americans, it's burger, okay? For the British, it's imagine a pint at a pub, a proper pint with the lads. What is fucking going on, man? What is happening in your goddamn country? Oh my God. Every time I think that American media is so ass, I am reminded that there is worse media apparatuses out there because I remember the existence of British media, okay? Every time I get frustrated at like CNN, ZBS, or numerous other outlets, and especially like with their recent pivot towards being a propaganda apparatus for the state, for the nation state of Israel, for the American state under the leadership of Donald Trump, I am reminded that British media exists, and I think to myself, well, things could be worse. Things could be far worse.
Effective job as Prime Minister.
Yes, he's a good lad. You can have a proper pint with him. That's right. He's a very good communicator. Well, communicate a policy. One policy. If you're such a good communicator, tell me one thing that's going on that this guy's going to do, that this guy's going to fucking fix. Anyway, moving on from the chaos unfolding across the pond, back to our side of the universe.